G'day guys, it's Mark here from North Oz, and in today's video, I really want to share with you guys the new rear setup I've just installed in the back of my mum and dad's 2022 Prado 150, or if you're over in America, it's your Lexus GX460. They want to keep this build very mild. They don't really want to do too much with it because they've already got all the tow stuff that they need to tow their caravan, but I just figure that I might as well just get in there and chuck a few things on there for them. And this is something that I actually really wanted for my own Prado, but I hadn't actually been able to find it until a company reached out to me and they sent me this. So I really want to show you guys this. It's a really cool setup and I think that you'll like it too. So if you're someone who's already got a bit of a setup in the back of your Prado, this might be something that'll interest you as well as a bit of a change. But also if you're someone who doesn't really want to install a big drawer system and take up all that space in the back, this might be the solution for you as well. I just want to give a super quick thanks, guys, to Car Trim Home. They did send this out to me for free. I didn't pay for it and they aren't paying me to say anything about this product. They did send me some photos of it and I was very intrigued because this was something that I've been looking for a very long time, and this is a very American sort of a setup. I really tried to find an Australian company that built something like this. I couldn't. I reached out to a lot of American companies and they couldn't send it over to me because of postage costs and various other import things, and they just really didn't want to. But this company reached out to me just when I thought I'd given up hope. This company reached out to me and they sent me this, and I'm very grateful because this is exactly what I wanted. If only they sent it to me a year earlier, because this would have been the setup I would have gone with instead of my big elaborate drawer system, which I've since ripped out of my other Prado. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into it. I'm going to show you exactly what goes into installing this, but also how it actually looks and what the setup actually looks like, because I'm sure from this point of view, you guys probably can't see too much. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of what this system looks like. So very simply, it's two molly panels. So molly panels are just kind of like the shape of the grid, so you can put things like pouches and stuff. It's very universal sort of a grid, and we'll talk about what you can put on these in a second. But it's basically two sets of molly panels, one on this side, one on that side, and then you've got a big shelf going in between it. So you can then move this shelf, you can move it up if you like, just using these butterfly bolts here. So you can easily unscrew those, and there's just two on each side, so 4 in total, and then you can put it up to this here if you want to just use the top part of the Prado cargo space. For me, I think it makes more sense to divide it in half. We're not really carrying anything too big in the back here. If I was carrying my big Mike Coolman fridge, yes, I would probably move it up a bit, but you know, mum and dad is carrying general cargo stuff, things like groceries as well. You know, bags with clothes in it, bigger stuff would go on the bottom and the small stuff will go up the top here. So, you know, it gives you a little bit more flexibility with the cargo space. Now, like I said, that molly panel sort of a grid is not only on the sides here, but it's also underneath this big shelf here. So all the way from this side to the other side of this big shelf are all molly grids. So you can put a whole bunch of pouches, or you can put different things, different accessories on there. And I'll show you what that will look like in a little bit. Here in Australia, we really pride ourselves on the quality materials and also the overall quality of the products that are being produced. So it was a bit of a shock to me that when this overseas company sent me this product, yeah, that the quality, the build quality was excellent, the hardware that they provided was excellent, and they provided all the tools and everything you need to be able to install it. Even things like the bolts. I'll make sure I get close-ups of these because these bolts are incredible. Like they look really, really high quality. But they even have the trim plastic piece remover things, you know, the trim tool. So they have that. They also, for any bolts and stuff, they also have bolt little wrenches as well. Allen keys is, you know, there's quite a few Allen key bolts in here, so they provide the correct Allen key, and they also provide an actually pretty high quality screwdriver. So I'm definitely going to hang on to that for sure. So continuing on about quality, the sides and also the shelf are made out of aluminium, which is excellent because if you know anything about GVMs and you know you're stacking your car on holidays, and you've also got the 150 kilos on the back of your vehicle because you're towing, then saving every single kilogram you can is excellent. So the aluminium is very, very welcomed. I was a little bit surprised. I thought it might have been like a light steel, but I stuck the magnet on it and no, it's aluminium. Very surprising. On my other Prado, where I installed a similar sort of a shelf, it weighed so much because it had to be a really thick steel to be able to give the same sort of rigidity. So when I was installing that, I had it on the back of my neck and it was a mess anyway. Definitely resulted in an injury for sure, but this is so light that it was very easy for one person to install. And I did all this myself with no help. So overall quality materials, excellent. When it came in the packaging, I was a little bit unsure whether or not, you know, it had everything there because it weighs so little, but then when I actually realized it was made out of aluminium, of course it made sense why it didn't weigh very much at all. So aluminium, excellent choice of materials, very well made, very high quality packaging as well. Nothing got dented, scratched. I'll show you guys all the paint as well on here. You can tell it hasn't chipped or anything during the install process as well. So talking about the install, I did make a whole install video about this because the company actually has one anyway, so I followed that anyway. So if you want to know how to install it, I'll link that video in the description as well. But listen, how easy was it to install? It's about an hour, hour and a half if you do it yourself. It's very, very similar on one side to the other side. It's basically mirrored, and then you make this middle shelf, which takes the least amount of time out of anything. Yeah, it's a little bit of fiddling around because there's quite a lot of bolts. You'll see them, so you have to get them right. But listen, it doesn't take too long. It's not difficult to do if you're wondering, how long does it take and is it difficult to do? Very, very easy to install. The last thing I wanted to talk about is what am I actually going to do now I've got this rack sort of set up here? Well, there's a few things you can do. One thing that you can do is use something like these, which are called quick fists. And what they do is it's easier to use things like zip ties to strap these onto places because it sticks a little bit better as opposed to using bolts. So I tend to use zip ties for these, and you can put things like axes and whatever you want. I'm probably going to buy a smaller axe for mum and dad because this one's mine, and it takes up a lot of room. So probably a smaller Fiskars axe is what I'm going to recommend for them. And the axe for them will probably just go here, or because it's going to be a smaller axe, it'll just sit underneath there. And because the quick fists are adjustable, you can just kind of move them to whatever size you need them to. It will hang on to whatever you need to. So they'll, might even do things like break up their kayak paddles as well, put them underneath there. The choices and the options are going to be limitless. They've also got a medical pack, so they've also got a first aid kit that they want to put on here as well, which actually does have the molly straps anyway. So that's going to be handy. That will probably go here where it's easy to access. So, when I'm talking about easy to access and stuff like that, there is nothing worse than having all your equipment and stuff packed away into drawers. So what this does is it basically gets everything off the ground and out in the open where you can see everything. And it looks pretty cool. It's kind of like a little bit combat sort of a vehicle sort of a situation. I like it. It covers the windows and stuff as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool setup. And I like the fact that you can just put all your pouches and stuff on the side because that's all wasted space anyway because mum and dad aren't using the third row of seats anyway. And they want to keep it in there because they don't want to be stuffing around with that, which is fair enough. So for them, they're going to keep the third row of seats in here and they're just happy to be using these sides here and also the shelf. And I can't blame them because this is actually a really good little setup. And I think that they'll get a lot of use and also a lot of accessibility out of it. So once I've had a conversation with mum and dad about what they would like and where, what needs to be accessible and what can afford to be pushed back and up a little bit, once I've had those conversations and I've set it all up, I will make sure I do another little update video. I'm really looking forward to, filling out and doing this whole setup in the back here. It's going to be pretty awesome. And, it's kind of for the people that don't really want that full-on serious sort of setup with that takes up the whole back and doesn't give you any flexibility. Like in a pinch, I can just undo those little butterfly nuts, take them off, put them off to the side, and then I've got the whole back area just like it would be stock from the factory. So it gives a lot of flexibility, this sort of setup. So, I think that they'll like it. It's a good little setup for, those people that don't want to lose the whole back area to a, fridge and drawer system like what I did. And if I had my time again, this is absolutely something that I would have gone for. Thank you for watching. And if you would like to purchase this rear setup here, I've got a link in the description. And if you guys use the code NORTHOZ, you'll save yourself 10%. So with that all said and done, guys, I'll see you very shortly in the next video.